All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to call our meeting to order and thank everyone for being here tonight. If everyone would join me at this time in a moment of silence. Thank you. We have someone's going to help us say the pledge tonight, and we'd like to welcome Leighton Edwards. Come forth and say our pledge. Please stand.
Salute pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you, Leighton, very much. Okay, board members, we're going to move down to approving the minutes of the prior board meeting, and everyone has had a chance to review these in your packets. And if there are no changes, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Bard.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of approving the minutes of the prior board meeting, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Go down to approving the agenda. Does anyone have any additions to the agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I like a motion.
A motion by Mr. Bowers.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of approving the agenda as it is, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And recognitions, Ms. Embry.
Good evening, board members and all of you guests here. We have several individuals, in case you haven't guessed, that have been doing some amazing things just this past month. And I'd like to begin with our recent cleanup Muhlenberg County. You know, Judge Executive Curtis McGee had the cleanup day last Saturday, and so we in the school system decided to have a billboard contest, and so kindergarten through 12th grade was challenged throughout the district to create a poster, and we judged those come Monday afternoon, and we have a special winner here tonight whose picture is going to go up on a billboard. I believe it's down by Sunshine Garden there on the bypass, along with his picture. So among us tonight, like I said, there were over 300 entries across the district. We've got our top ones up here on display tonight. And the winner with his entry that simply states, "Clean up the community." I think I've got a copy of it. Before I show you that, I'll tell you, we did have a third place, which was Aiden Waddell. His is in the center, the top right, that says "Be a Hero." Our second place came from South Middle. Her name is Madison Morris, and she's the one at the top in the center that says "Keep Muhlenberg Clean." And then our winner, he is from Greenville Elementary. He's in 2nd grade, and here is his drawing. Is Mr. Leighton Edwards. So Leighton, we're going to let you come up front. Mr. Davis, I have a certificate to give and let you get a picture, okay? Good job. And with these posters, Mr. Davis and I are going to talk, but we like to try to get these out into our businesses and maybe get them on display. They've got some great messages, a reminder of how we need to keep Muhlenberg clean. All right, next on the agenda, I have an individual who I'd like to recognize this evening that recently entered a beautiful jewelry piece, and I have a copy for all of you board members to show you. She entered this beautiful piece of jewelry through the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, and she won first place nationally. She has been invited to attend the American Heritage Forum in Washington, D.C., where she'll receive a ribbon and a certificate in June. This amazing art teacher from our high school is Miss Kimberly McClellan White. If you'll come up, I have a certificate for you. I didn't blow it up, but this is what the piece looks like. It's a beautiful necklace, and it's described what every part of it means. Congratulations. All right, my last group of recognitions is the brunt of you all that are here tonight. We recently competed in the Cedar West Coal Fair project. We do it every year. Miss Penny, she kind of leads that project. Muhlenberg County was well represented in the competition. There were students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade who competed, and teachers in multiple grades. Students, first place winners, they received $100 each. Second place winners received $50 each. And third place winners received $25 each. Teachers even competed, and the first place winners received $300. Second place winners received $200. And third place winners received $100. Muhlenberg County totaled $2,400 in winnings. So as I read each name, would you please come up and receive your certificate? Okay, students, so listen for your name. The first category is science, and in first place in the kindergarten through second grade is Mr. Hudson Blake. Also in first place in our 6th through 8th grade, I don't believe he's here, is Joseph Montgomery. In science for second place, kindergarten through second grade, is Mr. Josh Hopgood.
Shake hands, put your, what do you want to do?
Hey, whatever they want. In the 6th to 8th grade category, and I don't believe she's here, Haley Robinson. In science in 3rd grade, we had 2 winners. In kindergarten through 2nd grade category, Hannah Hardesty. No, she's not here. All right. And then in the 6th through 8th grade category, I don't believe he's here either, Cole Smith. In the art category, in first place, we had, in the 9th through 12th grade category, Abigail Brooks. Don't believe she's here. In second place under the art, in the kindergarten through 2nd, was Hannah Baxter. All right, and then in 3rd place, kindergarten through 2nd grade, is Lily Wells. And she's not here. All right. Then in music, multimedia, media, and technology, first place, and I think he's not here, 9th through 12th grade, is Ethan McLemore. In 3rd place in that category, 6th through 8th grade, Micah Sorrells. And then 9th through 12th grade for 3rd place was Hannah Everett. In our math category, first place in 6th through 8th grade was Mackenzie Gibson. In the 9th through 12th grade was Carson Alverson. In the English and Literature, first place, kindergarten through 2nd grade, Mr. Weston Maynard. then in the social studies category for first place in the 9th through 12th grade was Kyle Chadrick. And then in third place in the kindergarten through 2nd grade was Avery Duval. And there was a t-shirt design contest, and someone from Muhlenberg County won, Mr. Micah Sorrells. He won $100. Then we have teacher awards for the most effective units based on teacher summary reports. So in grades K through 2nd, first place was Debbie Tabb. It's pretty neat seeing teachers competing against teachers, right? In 2nd place in grades kindergarten through 2nd, Miss Emily Gardner. In 3rd place, she was unable to be here tonight, Lacey Groves. Then in categories grades 3 through 5, we had a team place 3rd, and it's the 5th grade team from Greenville Elementary. So Matt Adams. April Howell. Tina Beliles. And Melissa Sutherland. All right. And then for multi, that's a new category this time, grades 9 through 12, first place was Kelly Milton. And in 2nd place was Ryan Groves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
And for those of you all who have just been recognized, you're free to leave now.
I just want to stay for my treasurer's report. That's exciting.
That is beautiful.
Y'all gonna go home and watch it on TV?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good to see y'all.
That's the secondary. That's cool. Turn it around. It faces the audience. So they can hear you.
More about me.
There you go.
Hey, I'm proud of you, buddy. Tomorrow night, I don't know that I can be there, but if I can, smile big and do the right thing, all right? Get a picture for me. Hey, you got your camera? Let me get a picture. Speech, my graduation is next year.
What's he gonna say?
I don't know. That was good. Well, they wouldn't have said it, sure.
All right, we'll move down to Eric with the treasurer's report.
All right. Talk about the financials, everyone leaves. All right, tonight I'm bringing you the financials as of April 30th, 2019. The revenues this month, beginning balance is at about almost 25 million. That's down by 755,000 from the last month. Monthly receipts are down 459,000 from last month when you remove the construction bonds. So, rather than, right now it's at 34, the bottom line is 34.6 million, but of that 7 million is construction bonds. So, And it's also down $113,000 from the same period last year. Our SEEK dollars are up $62,000. State and taxes are down about $321,000 together. Again, other is obviously up $7 million. And food service is up $45,000. Daycare is down $2,000. So the expenditures, April. Accounts payable is down $167,000 when compared to the same period of last year. This is mainly in debt service and in food service expenses for a total of $726,015. Payroll was $2.7 million. That's up $67,000 versus April 2018. Again, you'll notice every month it's hovering right around $60,000, between $60,000 and $70,000. So it's holding true. The significant bills in April were $40,000 to NWEA testing software, $39,000 to Kisbit, which is a workman's comp, and $35,000 to commercial printing for shelving. But this is going to be a credit that's a part of the HVAC project. As they're removing the old units off the walls, they're replacing them with bookshelves for some aesthetics. So that's a credit that we're getting in expenses on the HVAC project. So for a total of $3.445 million in monthly expenses. The accounts payable breakdown, $415,000 in fixed and mixed expenses, about $105,000 in utilities, and variable were about $206,000. The breakdown of the accounts payable of $726,000. General fund was almost $500,000. Fund 2 special revenue was about $65,000. Construction was $38,000. Those were payments to architects. And food service and daycare are about $124,000. So the ledger balance at the close of the month, $22.5 million in cash. And investment dollars about $8.7 million for a total of $31.2 million. Again, $7 million of that is construction funds. So bank balance is about $23 million, outstanding checks of $707,000, and the cash close was about $22.5 million. I will note that one thing that you will see next month is we've had our first bill come in for our HVAC project, so that's going to be about $1.3 million in terms of supplies and items needed for that. So the breakdown of that $24.9 million, $16 million of it is general fund, that's down about $684,000. Special revenues at $377,000, that's down about $115,000. Construction is at $7.9 million, that's up $7 million. Debt service about $1.5 million, that is unchanged. And food service at $72,000, and that's up about $53,000. Daycare is at almost $67,000. So we're a total of $31.2 million. The extended financial picture through September 2019, and September 19, we expect to have about $17.1 million in there. Now, that does not take into account the construction payment, so that, I expect that to actually be significantly less, but we don't know when those are going to hit. So, and again, it's not a surprise, so, it's all in line, so. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions regarding the treasurer's report?
No.
If not, I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Wells, and I'll second. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Payment of bills and salaries.
Thank you, Chairman Rager. This month, I bring $193,523 in board bills to you. Of that, general fund is $162,000, fund 2 is about $31,000, and food service and daycare is $138. significant checks on this one. There's a check for $12,873 to Infinite Campus, which is our annual payment to the Infinite Campus for the student records. Are there any questions?
Is there any discussion? If not, I need a motion to pay bills and salaries. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of paying bills and salaries, say aye. All opposed? I hear none. And payment of school bills.
No significant expenses.
I'll make a motion to approve payment of school bills.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of paying school bills, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hear none.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to move down to public participation, and we do have one tonight, Mr. Damon Fleming.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Superintendent Davis, board members, thank you for having me tonight. I'll try to keep this brief, not to impede the business of the board. The reason I'm here tonight is as a parent with some concerns. I'd like to start out by saying I do have a son who will be an 8th grader next year at Muhlenberg South Middle School. This is in no way a complaint about Muhlenberg South Middle School. It's a great school, great teachers. Mr. Lyle is a superb principal, so I just don't want anybody to think that's the reason for this, because it's clearly not. My son next year, like I said, he'll be an 8th grader, and he is a gifted and talented student. He is identified as gifted and talented in the area of mathematics. So the reason I'm here is to talk to you about opportunities for gifted and talented students, or lack thereof, within Muhlenberg County schools. School districts are encouraged by the Kentucky General Assembly and the Kentucky Department of Education to provide access to middle school students to Algebra 1 and English 1 for high school credit. Again, it's not mandated, it is encouraged, and it is stated in the KRS. And you'll find in what I've given you are the notes that I'm speaking from, but also the supporting KRS, KARs, and board policies for what I'm talking about. Other school districts in the area provide this opportunity for middle school students. Just some of these are Butler County, Davis County, Hancock County, Logan County, McLean County, Ohio County, and Owensboro Independent, or just to name a few. As you can see, their average math ACT scores are significantly higher than Muhlenberg County's ACT scores in math. And part of that is because these students are getting higher level math at an earlier age. But I want to stress that I do not think that Algebra 1 is appropriate for all middle school students. And in none of these districts, all middle school students are taking Algebra 1. For example, McLean County is about 25% of the population. But the students who are ready are allowed to go on and take those courses. Also, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics recommends accelerated math opportunities for gifted and talented students in the middle school. My wife, as many of you know, is Dr. Beth Fleming. She's actually a published author on the topic. Again, higher level math scores, higher level math at an earlier age does equal higher ACT scores for students, which in turn will be more KEYS money for college and more scholarship money for students. Also, for students who are competing for National Merit Scholar and for slots in Gatton Academy, it's important they have advanced coursework at an early age so they can get those ACT scores as high as they can at an early age. Because remember, students are applying for Gatton sophomore year because they go junior and senior year. Now, you know, there are services provided by the county, but those services have been cut. In fact, before the budget crisis, there were actually 7 gifted and talented teachers in the district. Now you're down to 2. That's 2 teachers covering 9 buildings. You do the 2 high school buildings, the middle schools, and the elementary. So they're covered up, doing everything they can, working really hard, but it's just the numbers of the students that they're working with. So my son, who will be an 8th grader next year, he's expressed an interest and desire to complete early graduation from high school, which is allowed by law. He is currently identified as gifted and talented in mathematics. His math test scores are well above the recommendation of 235 for Algebra 1 readiness and 245 for geometry readiness. His interests are currently in the areas of math and engineering. He's determined he wants to be an engineer. He just can't really hone in on which field of engineering at this time. So he's clearly exhibited the ability for Algebra 1 with his MAP scores and his classroom performance. He's also demonstrated the need for Algebra 1, the need for higher level math based on his interest and his abilities. Kentucky law mandates that schools shall differentiate, replace, supplement, or modify curriculum to facilitate a high level attainment and learning goals, and to assist students identified and diagnosed as gifted and talented to further develop their interests, needs, and abilities. That's all he's asking for, is the school system to provide services for his interests, needs, and abilities. The reason I'm here, he came to me and asked me to do this. He's not with me tonight because it's actually his birthday and he's at a birthday celebration. So, gifted and talented programs are district programs. They're not site level based programs, they are district programs. Funding comes to the district level. 75% of that funding I know has to be spent on personnel, and I'm sure that's being met because that pool of money continues to decrease every budget year. The compliance with board policies, KRSs, KRs, and equitable access issues are, again, like I said, district level issues and not individual school issues. Gifted talented teachers, again, were cut, like I said, from 7 to 1. So my concern is how are needs being served for my child? My son currently is pulled 4 days a year for gifted and talented services. The other days his teacher is there consulting, but he's actually pulled from class 4 days a year. Well, the school year is 170 days. So my concern is what happens the other 166 days. The laws with gifted and talented are very clear. They do not allow districts to only service children 4 days a year. It must be serviced every day, just as a student who has an IEP that have that same legal right for services. So this is an issue of no equitable access to curriculum and advanced opportunities in a student's area of talent. My child's ready for advanced mathematics. In particular, he's ready for Algebra 1. The district provides advanced opportunities currently for students who are talented in athletics and performing arts. For middle school students who are gifted in these areas, they're actually allowed to, for lack of a better term, to play up for varsity sports. A number of 8th grade athletes and band students are allowed to participate in high school marching band and also participate in high school varsity sports. That happened last year. My other son will be a freshman next year. He was an 8th grader in marching band last year. It's a great opportunity. I'm not here saying take that away. I'm just saying that currently you are providing advanced academic or advanced coaching and instruction for those students in their areas of talents. Students who are gifted in the classroom academically are being denied that same opportunity. Those students should have the chance to play up academically and to advance academically. And then lastly, this opportunity has been granted in the past for students in Muhlenberg County, select students from select families. So this is not a request that's never been made before. I don't think it's happened since Superintendent Davis has been here, so I'm not saying it's happened recently, but it has happened in the past. So again, I think we have an issue with lack of services. My child has expressed interest in early graduation, and he's ready for Algebra 1. His math scores, his performance in the classroom show that he's ready. Now, I'm here talking about him, but I'm quite certain there are a number of other students at South Middle and North Middle both this would impact. Middle school teachers who teach math are also certified to teach Algebra 1. So it's not something that would cost the board any more money. No more personnel needed. Just the opportunity for these students to take the course. The KRS that you will see I've included that talks about early graduation, it gives the district options. It could be taught in middle school level. District can transport a child to a central location where they can have access to the coursework, or they can take them to another school, which could be the high school possibly, to have access to this coursework. Again, like I said, I've included a lot of the KRs that deal with gifted and talented, and it talks about how schools shall provide those services. Also, there's board policies in place saying that schools will differentiate and will replace curriculum when needed. So I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming and talking to us tonight. Thanks.
Thank you.
Down to the administrative report and superintendent report. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Chairman Rager, board members. I'm going to jump around a little bit out of respect to our guest. I think, Ms. Sheffield, you have someone I'm not going to make sit any longer. They have to. Been very patient. So I'm going to go with you first on the principal report. Then we're probably going to jump around and come back. But we'll start with you.
Ready?
Austin East. I am from Roanoke, Virginia. I've been a welder for a long time. I spent 5 years making asphalt plants for a living at Adams Construction. This is before I came to Job Corps. When I went to Job Corps, pretty much everything changed. You gotta have a certification to make it in the world, pretty much. So I came to Job Corps to get my papers for welding. Of course, my dad also went to Job Corps 23 years ago. I'm 23 years old. He went to Job Corps to better his life so he could take care of me and my brother. He's doing good. My dad is now a superintendent for Adams Construction. He is a maintenance superintendent, but at Job Corps, we have made several different things for the community. We made a sign for one of the cemeteries, Hayden Cemetery. I've made a couple of shepherd's hooks. They're about 6.5 foot tall. I made yard ornaments, like a little snail. We make these all the time. As you see, these Kentuckys, me and Miss Sheffield brought these in for the board members. They are y'all's to keep. You can have them. We make plenty of them. It's the big one though. Y'all can take those home, put them on your desks, whatever you want to do with them. But Job Corps is a great place for young people to be at to better their lives no matter what the situation is. It's been an obstacle, but every obstacle can be overcome as long as you keep your head straight, look forward, reach your goals, then you'll make it through. It's got different types of trades there people can take, and if it wasn't for Miss Sheffield, I wouldn't have my high school diploma, so it took me quite a bit to get it. It only took me 3 months at Job Corps, so it's impressive. Never thought I'd actually ever get another chance to get my high school diploma, and Miss Sheffield gave me that chance. I'm happy that I came to Job Corps to get my high school diploma. Of course, my dad's happier than I am because he hung it in his game room when I took it home for Christmas break. But Job Corps is a great place for me, and you know, of course, some of the people that come there, they don't see it that way because they're staying in the present. They're not looking towards the future. The ones who do look towards the future to better themselves, to make them better than what they were before, are the students that will make it. And I can pretty much eyeball those students because I can read people like a book.
Also, would you share that very personal piece that you're making?
Yeah. I am in the process of making a tombstone for one of the CAF members' fathers. He died last year in 2018 and has yet to get a tombstone. So I am in the process of making him a tombstone. It is a giant metal Kentucky with, it's going to have his name on it, his birth year, his end year, and we're going to weld some horseshoes around his names. That's what he loved, horses and stuff like that. I reckon that's what Marty told me, so I was like, okay, I'll do it for him. But he's yet, like I said, he's yet to get a tombstone since last year when he died, so I am making him one. As we speak, I should be done with it before Saturday. I'll be done with it tomorrow. Thank you guys for letting me come here.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Nice welds, by the way.
Yeah.
Miss Sheffield and Miss Bumps, this young man's the type of young man that probably would be good to speak to some kids at some point if we ever can work that out. Well spoken, well said. Thank you. And thanks for the big one.
That 3 months was a lot of nights. He came back after school day. He didn't have to work nights. Anytime I was there on weekends, I would radio his dorm. He'd be right down there to do extra work. So he He deserves the credit.
Do you have a job? Thank you. Do you have a job that you've applied for and received?
My dad has me a job lined up with TNA Welding back home. $35 an hour.
You go right back home then. Thank you. Congratulations.
Oh, you don't want to say? Hey, tell him happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
David. Principals, do we have any other kids here that we don't want to have to kind of sit? Because I know I've got a few others. I'm going to jump in. What I want to do now is I'm going to have Mr. Perkins come up and kind of give an overview on where we are with safety. We've been talking about going to do this. Kind of try to let you know, because out in the community, I'm quite sure what are we doing when things come up? And I want Matt to talk about that just a little bit. And then Alyssa Manning from the Felix Mountain Foundation will be coming up as well with kind of with kind of a nice little surprise here, I think, at the end. But I'll turn it over to you two.
All right, thank you.
I struggle sometimes. I'm sorry.
That orange whistle right there. It's an important prop. Thank you very much. We work well together. Good evening, Chairman Rager and board members. Right here. I am here tonight with Alyssa Manning, who is the president of the Felix E. Martin Jr. Foundation, to share an exciting announcement regarding school safety in Muhlenberg County. But first, Mr. Davis has asked for me, as you've heard, to give you all an update to this point in time on our safety upgrades and initiatives throughout the county. I have grouped our efforts into 4 categories: communication, planning, technology, and miscellaneous, of which we have a lot to be proud of. First, in communication. We have at least doubled the number of handheld radios in our schools and departmental locations throughout the district, and replaced every base station radio in our schools throughout the district. Those are the ones that are actually in the front office that are hardwired so they have more juice and they can push further. In addition to that, we have a backup secondary base unit in every school also. That way, if we have to get into an alternate location for whatever reason, we'll still have another radio that we would be able to use at that point. We have upgraded the antennas at our schools that needed to boost their ability to send and receive transmissions to where we are all able to communicate in the event we must rely on radio communication only. If our cell phones all go out, we're going to need to be able to communicate information as needed. That's a big job and a costly one as well. The radios are quite expensive, as you probably know, and they break. They get dropped in mop buckets, things like that happen. But what we did was we also purchased a large number of cheaper radios that are just walkie-talkie pretty much that the schools can use. Our goal and where we are now is we never have a teacher or anyone with a group of kids leave the building unless they have a radio with them. That's our big thing. In planning, we have aligned all our school and district policies and procedures to match the Kentucky Center for School Safety recommendations. All of our classrooms and cafeterias and offices now have new emergency management quick reference guides to use when needed. And I have one for each of you as well to keep and review as needed. They're very nice. It's a quick flip chart, as you'll see, so that if and when you ever panic and you really need to know what to do, we'll all be on the exact same page when it comes to that. But you all are in our schools, and I figured you might need to know what to do as well. So those are for you to keep and to read and to reference. Troy Walker, Director of Emergency Medical Services in Muhlenberg County, which is a branch of Owensboro Health, just today has donated and is delivering Stop the Bleed kits to all of our schools and is training all of our students and staff, that's a big part of it, in how to perform this life-saving skill. And Troy is here tonight to share a little bit about that, if you would. Please come on up.
Let's clap for Troy.
This is a good part of
Okay, thank you all for allowing me to come speak. The ambulance service, Owensboro Health Muhlenberg Community Hospital, department of the hospital, we took on here a couple of years ago and brought up the idea to follow suit with the rest of the nation on the Stop the Bleed program. This is a campaign going across, started by the trauma surgeons, United States Trauma Surgeon Association. They're pushing this out, and what it amounts to, we've all had CPR training, or most, and they push that across, get everybody trained in CPR, we're going to save lives. Well, Stop the Bleed, major bleeding, is following the same suit of CPR, so they're wanting to push this out and get everybody trained how to stop major bleeding. So we talk about Stop the Bleed, everybody goes to shootings and bombings, and yes, that's a possibility anywhere, but there's a lot of other things that could cause it. I mean, 2 days ago in our county, we used a tourniquet for a major injury to a leg, so it can happen anywhere at any time. And we thought, as the ambulance service, we worked with the hospital and Felix Martin Foundation, we couldn't do anything without them, and wrote this grant to push this across the county. We started with the school systems. We have 2 more schools that we're going to complete the 1st of August. Then we'll have all of our teachers trained in Stop the Bleed techniques. Then we're going to do the Board of Education and the Renaissance Center. That's the first part of the grant. We used money from the Felix Martin Foundation to help purchase equipment to allow us to train that many people. So once that was going, we took off like wildfire. I have 10 EMTs and paramedics that help do this training at the ambulance service. And now that phase is just about complete, we started phase 2, and that's the purchase of the bleeding control kits that we presented today. And I don't know if you want to display the case or anything.
Sure, there's one right there. We brought it in just to do that.
And a kit's almost an understatement, isn't it, Troy? How much do one of those go for?
Well, the kits were around $650 each, but we was able to get a deal from the company because it was going to a school system. So what this kit is, it is a bleeding control kit. One of these will go in each school. As of right now, we was able to purchase 16 of these. So with the 11 areas, the buildings that we're going to put them in, we're going to put a double up at a couple of the larger facilities. So inside the kits are tourniquets and bleeding gauze and gloves, trauma shears, instructions, everything that you can need. I mean, you're going to be able to treat several patients just with one of these modules, and there's 8 modules in each kit. Along with these 8 modules comes just a litter, a little stretcher if you was to need it to carry people out. But anyway, this is the kit to each one of our schools, coupled to some that we're going to be able to. I'm going to probably pass these out next week. So that's what I got.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you, Troy.
And thank you.
Thank you to the Felix Martin Foundation as well.
Yes.
Well, Troy's staff is all providing all the time, so I don't want Martin Foundation to take all the credit, because they came with the idea of providing all the time, so.
Awesome. No, thank you.
Troy will also, I will jump in, sorry, Matt.
You're good.
You know how I do.
Yeah.
I'll jump in a little bit. Troy will be involved with our training, our countywide training, which will be at Bremen 2 weeks from today, I think. And it's just another example with all of our first responders. I've bragged on them numerous times, I will again. All coming together for the betterment of our staff and kids. And Troy's certainly involved with that. He'll be heavily involved with that training in 2 weeks as well. So again, hats off to Troy and all of our first responders. It just all goes together here in Millbrook.
Fortunate enough to have a great working community. Our law enforcement community, they've allowed us to put actually tactical medics in the field. We have 3 tactical medics that go in and work the hot zone, I guess you could say, with law enforcement. Where normally that would be, normally we would stay back from an active shooter situation, but now these 3 medics can go into the active shooting and help start treating patients and saving lives.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Speaking of training, we are ramping up training in all of our schools. As we do drills and different required drills throughout the year, the minimum requirement is no longer what we're doing. We're going way above and beyond. And we're doing the drills, the principals are doing the drills to their credence at times that just make no sense, which is what we really need to do. And as principals, and as a past principal, I was guilty of having the unplanned fire alarm at an exact time when it would cause the least disruption, and I'd probably go around and tell everybody that the fire alarm was coming. That's not how it is now, and I've actually seen at the high school when they do an active shooter drill during lunch, and have seen the kids scatter and run and find a place to be, and as scary as that is, it's what we just need to do, unfortunately, in today's day. We continue to meet with our community partners, law enforcement, EMS, EMA, hospitals, and the 911 office to plan large-scale events like Mr. Davis is talking about and practice on-site procedures. In addition to everything that happens at the place, we are now training and practicing with our staff the reunification procedures in the event we need to evacuate one or more of our schools to an alternate location. And that in itself is a large scale situation that we are taking more and more seriously as the time comes that we may need to move everybody off site. Now again, we talk about things and we see the news and we always go to the worst case scenario, but it isn't always going to be a situation where we have an active shooter, for example. There could be a natural disaster. We could have a gas leak. We could have something else that causes us to move kids to another spot, but making sure those kids go with the parent or person who they're supposed to go with is a big responsibility, and you can imagine if you showed up to pick up your kid and your family member picked him up and you don't know about it, it's going to be a problem. So all of that is being taken into place, and there's a lot of work going on by the district office to get that ready. All right, moving on to technology. The Raptor Technologies Visitor Management System, I just love the way that sounds, was piloted at South Middle this year and will be installed at all schools over the summer. What is that if you don't know? I'm going to ask Mr. Lyle to fill you in.
Raptor system is basically a program where any visitor who comes in your building, they're going to have their driver's license, they insert it into the little machine that we have, and it's going to connect with the child predator list, and if anything pops up, their picture is going to pop up. Quickly you can identify, is this someone we need in our building, is it not? Very simple to use. The big seller for me was when my front office lady said they love it. To me that was key, because even if I like it, if it makes more work or harder work or more difficult for my front office staff, I have to question how good it is, but they love it. It's easy for me. You know, a lot of times on your sign-in sheets, you can't read who signed in. You can't read their names, and it's nothing against those people. Just when you put your signature, you can't read mine. Now I may be the only one who can read mine, but when you look at it on the computer, you have their name. You know exactly who's in your building. I can pull up from my office who's in my building. You know, district personnel, they come in, we put them in the system. Mr. Davis comes in, we put him in the system. So if there is a situation, we know exactly who is in our building at all times, and then they're signed out as they leave. We've enjoyed it at Southwood.
And I want to say I'm grateful a picture pops up, because there's a bad Robert Davis in Georgia. And had his picture not popped up, they would not allow me in. I'm quite confident your staff would not have allowed me in. And so I'm grateful for the picture part of it.
The other alias for Robert Davis is Frog. So.
He's a bad guy. I mean.
We talk a lot about who's in our buildings and who's not in our buildings nowadays, and making sure that we have locked, secure entrances and a process to know who's in and out is a big part of what we're doing in order to keep our kids and our staff safe. With that, I'll share that this year we have installed external cameras and intercom system entries at all schools and added consistent instruction signage for visitors. So if you go to the schools now, the front door is not open anymore. That front door is locked. You need to press the button, talk to the camera, state your business. There's a script that all of the offices have, and our office folks have been trained what to do if we don't know them or if we don't want to let them in. And in addition, many of our schools have a second portal which keeps a visitor in that space once they enter the front door, which allows us to give another visual scan of the person, and our folks have been trained to look for signs of something wrong, and we can keep keep them in that spot if we need to in order to get law enforcement or administrators up there in order to handle the if there is a problem. That's the goal, is to have that in all of our schools, and in some newer design schools it's easier. In some of our older design schools it's a bit of a challenge, so that's part of what we're working towards as well, but we're dedicated to make that happen. We have new camera systems at North Middle, South Middle, Longest, and we've upgraded some essential cameras at East in the gym and the Commons area at lunch, and we're going to do that at West over the summer as well. Technology gets better, the cameras are cheaper, they see better things, better visuals and things like that. And this summer, we're going to do the ones at West, and Central City is up for a new system this year, so that's already been ordered, and our tech guys will get to that this summer. And then all the remaining schools will upgrade those throughout the next couple of years as we can get to them and afford them, obviously. Okay, miscellaneous. All doors and windows are now consistently numbered inside and out for emergency planning. If you're running from one place to the other and you're in a room and you're on the phone trying to tell somebody where you are, there's no number on the inside of the door, is there? There is now. So all of our external windows are numbered for emergency management issues if people are trying to find us. And all of the hallways have been named as well. That way, if you're in the building, you know it's the science hall, but that doesn't work for somebody who's unfamiliar. So now it's the green hall, or
And I believe that,
Tideway or whatever.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
believe that came from last year's training.
It did.
When law
Mr.
enforcement
Davis, yep.
said, hey, we need some help. It's a little confusing. We don't know the schools like you guys do. So we learned from that and have made adjustments.
It makes sense. We're familiar with our own buildings, but when somebody else is running around, it's hard for us to know. And you can stop and say, where are you? I'm in the blue hall or whatever, so that makes sense too. Our classroom teacher red bags, which are supply bags that the teachers take with them every time they leave, they're full of supplies. Those have all been replaced if they were worn out, and they're all restocked with new, fresh supplies. And, on an aside, we have whistles. And you would think, of all the things that we supply, that these whistles were the biggest winner of all. I received more emails and thank yous for these whistles than I ever thought imaginable. But what teachers do is they take them with them wherever they go, and if they're outside and they need to call their kids in, they've devised different whistle blows that the kids know what to do with. And actually, if they have them in the building, we had one incident where we needed a guy to come down and help out with something. The teacher blew on the whistle because they couldn't get to their phone. So it never stops. There's always more and more stuff that we're going to do. Safety mirrors have been installed as needed in hallways and stairwells throughout the district to improve monitoring and safety. Those turned out to be a real win. If you have a teacher or somebody standing in the hall and they can't see up the hallway or up the stairwell, now we can. Bad part, the kids do not like that. I'll tell you that. Many of our schools have installed one-way window coverings, and that's a recommendation from Kentucky Center for School Safety, and we are continuing to help schools with purchasing these. The car rider pickup and bus pickup procedures were changed at North Middle this year. Safety is more than buying things and keeping track of everyone. It's realizing that you have an unsafe situation and coming up with a plan and working it out and reteaching all your parents how to pick up and drop off. And South Middle's done some adjustments to theirs as well. I don't want to ever leave anybody out, but you get the point that schools are always looking to just make things run smoother and be safer for kids. I have begun working with a professional grant writer to seek out and apply for school safety grants that would allow us to strengthen our programs and resources in the future. And finally, adding an additional school resource officer to our already outstanding staff has made a huge impact with our ability to assign officers full-time to individual schools.
As we've said before, those guys are our SROs plus our local law enforcement. Let's just say there's some threat on Instagram in the middle of the night and it's happened. You're not even sure if it's ours, if it's legit, whatever. But it may happen 12 o'clock, and by the next morning, every school is covered because of the communication these guys have and the dedication they have. And it's just another example of our local law enforcement and our SROs. That extra SRO, it absolutely makes a big difference.
Mr. Davis and I were talking earlier today, their legal knowledge and their holistic view of how it all works is just something we don't have, and we rely upon them to help guide us on making our schools safer and letting us know what we should be doing or sometimes what we don't need to be doing as much of. So it really goes without saying that that's one of the best things we can do for our schools. All right, and now I would like to turn it over to Alyssa Manning with the Felix E. Martin Jr. Foundation, who will share exciting news about a project we would not be able to do all at once without their generous assistance. Alyssa. And I'll hang around to help you if needed.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for letting me come in and talk to you. And I'll warn you right now that I told Mr. Perkins that I was going to take advantage of my podium and say a few things about the Martin Foundation and the partnership really between the foundation and the schools. I don't often get a chance to talk to you all as a group. And I just wanted you to kind of understand how important that partnership is to us for sure. The school system is a key partner for us. And often when we have ideas, we can come to someone in the school system and they'll take them on to try to improve Muhlenberg in the future. We're looking always toward the far future. And I hope that we're also a key partner for the school system. I know that I have a very close relationship with a lot of the school administrators, and it's been nice to be able to just have those conversations to figure out how we can bring everything forward for the county and for the students and for the schools. So I just want to say thank you for that partnership. We appreciate it, and I think that you all do too. I do want to say, just to kind of give you an idea of how important a partnership it is that just in the past 12 months, we've made just about $500,000 in new grants direct to the school system as I looked at the past 12 months. And I want to sort of say that that's really not all. So many partners, so many projects that we are doing involve the schools. So there's $500,000 in the past 12 months has been direct to the schools. That includes things like a leadership development program for administrators, continued support for STAND and Muhlenberg Mentors. We've given about $40,000 in support to the Family Resource Centers this year, funding to do the startup costs to get a daycare running at South Elementary, work-ready field trips, which allow every student to go to a college or to a workplace. Literally every student from kindergarten to 12th grade gets that opportunity. So there are lots of projects like that, which are always thinking toward the future. That $500,000 does not include a lot of other grants that I just kind of want to mention. For instance, there are salary grants that are not included there because those were approved some years ago, but we do provide funding direct to the schools to cover salaries at Martin Hall. That facility is a school facility, but it has certainly been more successful than anyone dreamed. There are over 300 events a year there, and in order to make it available for the community and for all the students, we do help provide salaries so people can be staffed there full time. As well, it doesn't include salaries. One of our biggest partnerships is our programs, which are SOAR, the early childhood program, and Muhlenberg Achieves, which helps students as they transition out of high school and into college, are both partnerships with the school system, and we do pay those salaries and all those benefits, but we rely on the school system as our partner there. So I want to make sure that that's also on top of. In addition, those program funds are not part of that $500,000. That's about $200,000 a year that we do in those programs where we just pay the expenses directly. So there's a lot of stuff. And I know that you all know that. I just wanted to take a chance to be able to really give you an idea of the scope of this partnership. I do want to talk about just a couple of little grants that were this year that also, one of them also did not go to direct to the school system. We made a grant, I believe you'll all remember, in September, $300,000, which went to Madisonville Community College. But what that did was outfit the new advanced manufacturing career pathway at the high school. That, like I said, did not pay direct to the school system, but it is certainly here at the school system. It will be up and running in September, and I think it's going to be a big success. As of the last I heard, there are over 30 students who have enrolled in that pathway, which is, again, more successful than we even expected in the first year, so that's exciting. And one other large grant that's just finished is over the past 5 years, we've been making a grant. It was $400,000 over the last 5 years for a reading intervention program. I'm not sure how much you all know about that, but that responded to some low reading scores. At the high school, some scores came out that said 40% of 10th graders were reading at a novice level, and that's the lowest reading level. And the schools didn't like that, and we wanted to help with that as well. So in partnership, we went with teachers and administrators and us and kind of found the Cadillac version of reading intervention. And really, that has been over 5 years we've instituted that. Everything purchased was a lifetime license, so it will continue after this. And I do want to say thank you to the school systems, and for the two of you especially, to thank your teachers, and actually everyone who has teachers who were involved, because that Cadillac version is a technology system, and I can tell you right now, technology does not always go well. So it's a little harder than we expected in some cases, and the teachers really stuck with it, and we're now seeing really great results. For instance, the last time we got K-Prep scores, I'd mentioned the 40% were novice level at the high school. The last one was 30%, so that's 10 percentage point gain, which is pretty amazing. And the middle schools were just at 15% reading at that novice level, so that's great results, partly because of that program. Having gone way off track, I'm now going to come back to track and talk about the new grant funding. We've been talking with Mr. Davis really since February 2018, quite soon after the Marshall County incident. We started talking about how the foundation might be able to help with school safety. It's really important. It's a little bit of a weird fit for us because we tend to talk about transformational programs and how we can do things that are future, looking toward the future. But you don't have to get very far under the surface to realize that if kids don't feel safe at school, they're not going to be able to learn well. And if teachers don't feel safe at school, they're not going to be able to teach well. And our future in Muhlenberg is kids. So if we can't have people teaching and people learning well, we're not going to get to where we want to get to. So it absolutely is related to transformational change. So it was a great fit for the foundation to be involved somehow. And we've been meeting throughout the year and talking about options. Mr. Davis and Mr. Perkins and Mr. Bletzinger all offered to host. We actually hosted our board meeting here in this room in December. So this grant has been out for a little while. They came and did a fantastic presentation just talking about school safety to our board members and really made some great points and some good arguments. And after they left the room, our board said we want to do even a little more than they were expecting to do in this. So we actually came up with 3 pieces that we want to help fund through the school system. The first one is not a direct grant to the school system. It has actually already happened, but the foundation approved, Mr. Perkins mentioned the school resource officers. That was a key piece of the funding, and while we couldn't come in and do salaries for those, as it will be ongoing, they had really made a great partnership with local law enforcement and with Muhlenberg County Sheriff, so everything was in place except for one piece, which was the Sheriff's Department did not have cruisers to be able to give those officers cruisers that both the officers could use, but also so they would be parked at the schools. So the foundation made a $60,000 grant over 2 years to be able to purchase 2 cruisers for those school resource officers, which was kind of the final cog in that thing that the administration had already worked out. So that was one piece of the grant. Mr. Perkins also made mention of the second piece of the grant. We all know that there's a lot of discussion, not just in Muhlenberg, but across the state and across the nation about school safety. I think probably most of you know about House Bill 1 that passed in January, which talked about how important it is and everything that's needed, but did not provide any funding. So that was not very helpful, but we do know there's going to be a lot of funding coming up in the future. And we also know that as much as I'd love to be the expert of all things grant, getting state and federal funding is really hard. You have to know it's coming out, you have to get it in the right time period, and you have to know how to write a federal grant. So what we actually did was made a $40,000 grant to support hiring a professional grant writer who's in education, who could be looking for those grants. We want some of that funding to come back to Muhlenberg, so hopefully that will also help us in the school safety issue and other things in the future. So that's up to $100,000 to support school safety. And then the final piece of the grant was, Mr. Perkins mentioned the need for double entries in a lot of the schools, and we know that's something that's hard to do for schools to come up with capital cash. So our board actually committed to $200,000 over the next 2 years to support those facility changes. So I get to pull out my big check and tell you that we are giving $300,000 towards school safety initiatives over the next 2 years. And I just wanted you all to know that. And I would love to ask a favor because I love doing big check pictures. So I'm hoping that I can do a picture with all of you in it. Thank you. Thank you.
How do you want to do that? Behind you here? What do you want to do?
I want to come around. Okay. Yeah. Thank you all for doing this with me.
Mr. Davis, would it be appropriate for me to explain what we're going to do while you're doing the picture?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
So if you can do that and listen in, what we're going to do is at both East and West Campus this summer, when you walk in that little portico that holds you in place, that's going to be extended about 6 to 7 feet, and the brick wall where the existing door and that glass is all going to be removed. What that's going to do is create another vestibule that we'll be able to have people stay in. The offices will have to be updated and altered in order to allow our secretaries to be able to talk to people who are visiting, and then there'll be like a pass under slide for dropping off notes and things like that. But the bottom line is people will not enter the office anymore. When they come to the high school, they will just stay in that area. They'll be very visible. Our school resource officers are up in that area. They're able to keep an eye on things. But a big ticket item involved in this, which we truly didn't see at first, it's like remodeling your house, you always find out there's more to it, is even though the glass is replaced, it needs to be bulletproofed. And it's never bulletproof. What they do is 3M company comes in and they have their own contractors, and they provide a film on the inside and then an upgraded caulking system. So what it does is it makes those glass work like a car windshield. If a bullet was to hit it, it would shatter, but it would stay in place. And the stuff is tough. I mean, you would be hard to get through it because, axes or anything else, or you could just turn and kick it. But if you're going to do the front entry, you really got to do every door and window that's on the ground floor around the buildings as well. So picture West Campus, for example, and Martin Hall and all of those doors, and East Campus as well, the big windows that are at the end of the hallways that when you walk down you see. So part of the grant funding will cover the cost of treating all of those windows. They also become a one-way glass, which is another recommendation from Kentucky Center for School Safety. So it doesn't look like a shiny mirror on the outside, but it does look kind of gray and you can't see in, which is another benefit that we're going to be able to do with that. So in combination with our maintenance department, our tech department, and everyone else, that's a big project, and honestly one we couldn't piece together. We couldn't do a piece of that at a time. We had to do the whole thing at once. So once again, thank you very much, Alyssa, and for everything you do.
All the details. Like I said, we made the grant in December, but waited until now because we wanted, administration really worked out what they wanted to do with it.
Yep. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're welcome.
Alyssa, if you've got a long trip back, feel free to slide out unless you want to hear budgets and all that stuff too. I do want to just give you a quick update. You've got some weekly updates on our HVAC units and all the stuff at the high school now, lights everywhere. That's all going. The gentleman from Train, I believe, will be here in June to give a more complete update on where we are there. I will say Jimmy's not here, but we are fortunate this is happening. We are down now today, I think Ms. Bumps could probably add to this. I think we're down to one cooling tower at West with a few days to go, so we're limping through, and it's good timing because those aren't cheap. All right, we're going to jump into our principals now, and we'll go to Bremen.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Graduation is tomorrow night, so we're going to come out 6 p.m. to our school. You'll see Mr. Frager there. Our graduates came today to our school. It was a great event. K-Prep testing, we had really good effort, and we completed our testing. A lot of activities at the end of the year, Spring Festival, field days, attendance parties, and our final Eagle Pride Assembly is May 24th. Hopefully not.
Thank you.
Anyway, graduation tomorrow night. See you there.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. This is a busy time, so some principals couldn't be here, and I think some came in late. We're working it out, but no one from Central City actually could. So Penny, I think, is going to step in for Ms. Higgs.
Yes, they're all at a graduation right now. So the annual career fair was held on Tuesday, April 23rd. They had about 20 community presenters. Studio 3 came and took pictures of the kids in their outfits so that they could have a keepsake. All fifth graders presented to the assigned classrooms in the afternoon and then again at 6 o'clock for parents. So this year the fifth graders have done some digital presentations, which was new. So it's kind of neat to see people evolving to the digital age. Friday, April 26th was Ag Day at CCS. Ms. Higgs wanted to give a Golden Tide shout out to the FFA students at the high school who did an outstanding job sharing their in-depth knowledge with the kids. She said that their passion definitely showed through well that day. Bowl to Impact a Child was on Saturday, April 27th. CCS had 2 teams that went on Saturday to do that. Then Friday, May 3rd, they held their K-Prep Awards recognition. April Student Recognition Assembly, and their kindergarten Kentucky Derby, which ended with a photo finish this year. Golden Tide shout out goes to Whitney Noakes. She's a second grade teacher and has an STLP club. And her club worked on building robots, and they coded the robots so that they could actually race each other. And so they had their own form of the Kentucky Derby with their robots, and Ricochet won the race. And she said that was a great, engaging, awesome type experience for the kids. They really got into that. Then on May 6th through 10 was Teacher Appreciation Week with the National Teacher Appreciation Day on Tuesday, May 7th. So Central City did something different every day for that. On Monday, they gave out Starbursts to the teachers, and it's a message that said, bursting with appreciation for your star-studded effort. On Tuesday, they got M&Ms that said, much and many thanks for all that you do. We appreciate you. On Wednesday, they gave out Goldfish, and it said, officially, you're the best. And then Thursday, Oreo cookies. It's as plain as black and white that we appreciate you. Thanks for all you do. And then finally on Friday, they did tie-dye t-shirts. Peace, love, and the golden tide. Always good vibes. And so to the awesome Tide crew members. So they had a good Teacher Appreciation Week at Central City. Then finally, they finished their K-Prep testing and are now anxiously awaiting to see how their scores will come out in the fall. That's the Central City report.
Thank you, Penny. I think Mr. Blake is here for Greenville Elementary.
Thank you, Board, Mr. Davis. First, I want to just mention my proud dad moment tonight, as my son was one of the ones who got to come up and be recognized for the cold. And I also want to say graduation at Freeman. I know I'm speaking on behalf of Greenville, but graduation is tomorrow night at Freeman. I like to think that my son is the keynote speaker tomorrow night, as he's one of the fifth graders graduating in the speech. So I know Mr. Sharp will do a good job, but I'm there to see him go. Greenville Elementary, I want to spotlight two things. First off, our Blackhawk archery team competed in the National Archery Tournament in Louisville with an overall score of 2,818. And that was within 50 points of the highest that they had scored all season, and that's with two archers who weren't able to make it. So had those two archers made it, they would have been well over 3,000 and set a new personal record for our school. And one of our archers, Cameron Hambrick, who can't be here tonight, was 18th place out of over 2,000 male archers. So we're really proud of Cameron. Also, want to mention our K-Prep kickoff. Our theme was To Proficiency and Beyond, was our Toy Story. So we had our kickoff last Thursday. Teachers got out. We were all dressed in different Toy Story costumes. We came out there and motivated our kids, gave them test taking strategies. And then every morning we had a K-Prep pep rally where we cheered our 3rd through 5th grade on. Our kindergarten through 2nd grade stood out in the halls, gave them high fives and cheered them as they went on to class. So, you know, I think we gave good effort too, and I can't wait until October till we can see their scores.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mr. Harrison, Longest Elementary.
I'll keep it simple. Our graduation is next Monday night, the 20th at 6 p.m. Looking forward to another nice event that our staff will be very proud of our kids after doing a great job through the time at Longest. I'm bringing tonight a short video. It's a demonstration of our teamwork. Amazing work from our music teacher that took a popular new song and rewrote some lyrics, and it helped us to motivate our kids to do their best on K-Prep. We had a lot of fun. We showed it on the first day. They loved it. We showed it the last day of testing. They were singing along. So it's kind of been the buzz. But
Mr. Harrison, there's a blooper version.
There is a blooper version.
Correct.
We have a YouTube page, so I'm going to show the regular version, but I would definitely get the full money's worth and see the blooper version, because some of those weren't the first take, obviously. You'll enjoy that. So, thank you.
Just gonna take it slow, gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my test, gonna take it slow, gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got my juice box in my pack, with jackets attached, ready sharp and black, got the shirt that's black to match. Riding on the sports top, you know that for sure. I've been in the dumps, I ain't going there no more. Can't nobody tell me what really matters. Cheating ain't amazing, you can go and ask her. My life is a movie, chilling my jacuzzi. Testing is my duty, cake or sun on Tuesday. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing. I'm gonna take my test, gonna take it slow. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my test, gonna take it slow. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. Testing playground, living like a rock star. Spent a lot of time on the tree prep sofa. Students gotta have it, reading through and getting gold star. I was speeding through this test like a Maserati sports car. Got no stress, I've been through all that. I'm a K-prep girl, so I can't come back. I could go on back and take it slow. I'm gonna ride till I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna take my test, gonna take it slow. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my test, gonna take it slow. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I think next year, all principals will be doing that at their schools, so we all go and think about
And
that.
if you haven't seen their kid snippets, that's one of these.
I love kid snippets.
All right, well done. South Elementary School, Mr. Wells, follow that, please.
High school graduation was this past Tuesday. High school is part of our daycare. The daycare program started this Saturday. Special thanks to Director Debbie Ingram, Tina Miller, daycare workers Jeanette Wells, Miranda Wester, subs Amanda Camp, Dan Brewer, and Teresa Mefford. They're the team that have got us off and running, and looking forward to a great summer and a better program next year. Today our chorus performed songs with skits. The theme was on anti-bullying, and all the songs came from The Greatest Show. It was well done thanks to our music teacher, Tara Haslett. A few things left. Tomorrow, third grade is going to the Convention Center in Central City. The lesson's going to be on sunscreen. And then next week, fifth grade is going to the Jump Zone, the lesson on physics. Fourth grade is going to the Corvette Museum, which would be my favorite, lessons on engineering and art. And then we're going to wrap up the last day, the 24th, with the field day. And our graduation is next Thursday at 6 o'clock. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. North Middle, Mr. Rager.
We had a K-Prep kickoff with the Wolf Brothers, and the theme was 80s Day, and our staff, we had Guns N' Roses there and several other bands that were there as well.
I missed that.
So the kids really enjoyed that. And the teachers, they did sidewalk chalk on good luck on the test at both entries of the building on the first day of testing. The kids really liked that. We had a great effort on the test. And I also want to give a shout out to Ms. Markwell. She was our building assessment coordinator, and she was one of the reasons why that our testing went so smoothly. And we're all thankful it's all boxed up in Mr. Perkins' office. So we have Rewards Day coming up on May 22nd. 8th grade graduation will be Thursday, May 23rd at West Campus from 6 to 8. I do want to thank Ms. Bumps for once again for her hospitality and hosting us at West Campus. Everybody's thankful that we have air when we do graduation. I do want to invite, this is an invitation for everybody in the room. We'll be having our annual fish fry at North Middle on Tuesday, May 28th at 12. So board members, if you can, my dad and I will be frying fresh fish, and my mom will be making homemade hush puppies. So please come for that. And we're finishing up a great year at North Middle. Thank you.
Mr. Rager, really quick, we always try to illustrate soft skills and all, and the compliment you told me the Wolf Brothers gave to the kids.
Yes, one of the lead band members told me, said, you're the four kids that helped us. They were polite, they were, pretty much the best that we've experienced. And I said, well, I said, thank you, because we're having a district initiative on pushing soft skills. And he said, well, let me tell you, it shows. And I said, well, that's our goal, because basically Muhlenberg County, we want our kids to be known for having soft skills when they go out in the community and whenever they graduate. And he said, well, I want to commend you on that, because they said thank you, they took direction, and they recognized them after the assembly. They gave them some special shirts and pins and things like that, I think. So yes, it was very, very complimentary on our students.
That kind of stuff's good to hear, so we'd like to pass it on. South Middle, Mr. Lott.
First of all, I'd like to give a big shout out to Joe Cooper and our lunchroom staff for preparing our 8th grade graduation breakfast for our 8th graders, and then also our teacher appreciation meal that the board covered for our teachers. You know, it's greatly appreciated, but sometimes it's easy to overlook those ladies who are putting in the hard work making that meal and doing that extra. So we do thank Joe and her staff as well. Tomorrow is our Extreme School Makeover. This is the first year. We'll still have some projects around the school that we'll be taking care of that need to be taken care of every year. But this is our first year that we're going to branch out to the community. We'll have a group of students here at Central Office taking care of planting some new flowers and making the front entrance look even nicer, working around the building. We have a group that's going to the Opportunity Center, and they'll be working there. We also have a group going to the one of the local rest homes and working around that building as well. So kind of started out small with 3 locations, look to grow that next year and make that even larger. Our students being able to get back to our community. And then I guess our biggest announcement is a big congratulations to Miss Angela Shoemaker, one of our custodians. She is one of 3 finalists for the Fred Award by KASA, and so we're very excited about that. She'll be in Louisville in July at the KASA Annual Leadership Institute, and she'll be recognized there, and we're hoping for a win in the end. I think she has a very good chance. She does a great job every day, so looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lau. Ms. Bunce, Wood County High School.
Yes, lots of things happening at the high school. Start off with a few thank yous. Thanks to Mr. Sharp for hosting class of 2019 seniors today. As he said, we had our graduation tour. We're about to wrap those up. Tomorrow will be our last one at Central City Elementary, and we will have wrapped up graduation tour 2019. I'd also like to thank Mr. Lyle for hosting some of my front office staff. He and his front office staff for giving us a quick little training review of the Raptor system so that we'll be better prepped for that as we get ready to begin to utilize that next school year. To date, as of this evening, our seniors have earned well over $1 million in scholarship money. We'll be able to give a better number for that at our awards day as well as the night of graduation. Speaking of graduation, all of you should have your VIP passes that you'll need to put in the front window of your car, put on windshield, so that way our JROTC students can be able to direct you in the right area. And if you would, please make sure that you can tell Sherry how many tickets you need so that I can drop those off to you here at the board. I'm very thankful for our local law enforcement as well as Mr. Davis and some of the other members of Central Office who were able to come and listen to our JROTC students talk about the parking detail. That's something they take a great deal of pride in and put a lot of hard work into it, and make me a very proud principal. You also have a copy in front of you of the Thrifty Nickel. That is an art contest where students are able to design and submit. I'm happy to report that what you see on the front page, all 4 places are of Muhlenberg County High School students, but if you also flip inside, there are 4 additional places, also all of Muhlenberg County High School students. So we swept all 8 places at Muhlenberg County High School, and there were other schools, as you see as you go through and look at it, who entered the contest. Pleased with our bass team. They competed in the state KHSAA bass tournament this last weekend. We had 3 boats to compete. Jackson Kuliov and Lane Tooley placed state runner-up in that event. They were beaten by 1 pound and 2 ounces of bass. They caught 31 pounds and 1/10. So very pleased with their effort. Timmy Doris and Coleman Bingham also participated, as well as Kyler Gill and Hayden Jones.
grown, so quite proud of them. We recently hosted the Youth Leadership Graduation. Again, thanks to the Martin Foundation for being one of our partnerships with that, as well as the many other community and business members who, while the students were competing for two $1,000 grants, all of them were actually competing to all business members to maybe possibly sponsor their idea if they were not awarded the grant. So in the middle of the presentations, I was able to text Mr. Davis right after one group and said, that group's already got a sponsor, should they not get the $1,000 grant? And they were not one of the groups, but that is fantastic that they had already been able to get one just like that. So excited about for those students. This Saturday, we'll be hosting the Happy Feet event at West Campus, so always pleased to be able to hold that vendor event. And at East Campus, we'll be hosting the Spring Gala for our marching band, so that's in the evening, so if you have nothing to do at all Saturday, day or evening, we have plenty of things going on at the high school. And I believe that wraps up everything.
Thank you, Ms. Pumps. And board members, you'll have a chance, if you think about it, to say something to one of the JROTC students as we go in for graduation, because they're taking the parking, they're taking it over. And it was totally student-led. When I sit in, I mean, that's a big job. And that says something for their instructors, obviously getting them prepared, but it was totally student-led, and it's a big job, and they've got it under control. So, if you get a chance to thank them, they definitely worked hard. Mr. Watkins, Renaissance.
First of all, it's been a good year at the Renaissance Center. Like everybody else, we've tested over the last several days. Students have shown great effort, no behavior issues, so I'm very proud of all the kids that tested. We have two kids in the alternative school side of our building that are graduating. Both these guys are 19 years old, been in and out of their homes since they were in middle school. So just the resiliency that they've shown, I'm very proud of those two guys. They've had every chance to quit, drop out, do whatever, but they stuck with it, and they're graduating. So proud of those guys. Also, the MOVE program, I looked back, and this is the 5th year, so I went back to 2015. We had 11 kids that graduated, 16, 17 kids, 17 and 18, 15 kids, and this year we've had 25 kids that are graduating. We have 2 more that are close, not sure yet if they're going to make it, but so very proud of that program too. And Miss Beth Ellis, she works pretty hard and stays on top of those kids and wants what's best for them always. And not only that, they've earned 215 credits this year in the MOVE program. So that's all the kids. So there's 9th, 10th, and 11th graders too. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's kids who likely otherwise would not have graduated, correct? Which is a really big deal.
That's great.
So thank you. And I'm sure, as Mr. Freeman would say, that finally ends my superintendent report. And thank you.
All right, Mr. Freeman with the attendance and enrollment report.
That's exactly what
I know. A lesson to blow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. I have tonight the attendance report for our 8th month. Began March 19th, ended April 22nd. Our monthly attendance average for this period was 93.31, a big jump from the previous month, but still below last year. This month compared to 94.12, which is down 0.81%. For the year, we're down 0.71%. The last month, if it wasn't for that one, we'd be doing really good, or at least above last year's, but that one really brought us down. Enrollment, we're down 66 students from last year this month. Again, just keep emphasizing this number. We're down 46 from the last day of school last year. So hopefully that's sort of that reduction is steadying off. We're up 10 from last month. And as I ran the enrollment numbers today, we have 4,499, which is up 1 student since April 22nd. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move down to the board action items at this time. Item A on the agenda is to consider approval of deaf and hard of hearing position. Ms. Finley?
Yes, thank you. I feel like I've brought at least 4 agenda items over the past year and a half related to this student population, but this is a very important student population because we have a very difficult time finding qualified employees to meet the needs of our students. But what we're bringing to you tonight is the approval of this job posting. We had a teacher of the hearing impaired in the past. Our teacher resigned at the end of the 17-18 school year, and so for this year, for the 18-19 year, we have utilized the services of a deaf hard of hearing consultant. And so that person is working between 2 and 3 days a week. We're meeting the basic needs of those kids with hearing impairments, but we're not fulfilling at the level that I feel comfortable with. And so I'm not really certain if we'll get any applicants, but I do think we need to do our due diligence and at least post the position and see what types of applicants that we do get. Just to answer the question of what will we do with the consultant, if we do end up with a qualified applicant and if we do hire, then we will terminate the contract with the consultant and then no additional funds will be paid to that consultant.
Is there any discussion? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion by Ms. Wells. And a second by Ms. Bard. All in favor of considering approval of the deaf and hard of hearing position, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Thank you. Item B is consider posting 2 part-time teaching positions at the Renaissance Center. Ms. Browning?
Good evening, everybody. I'm shorter. Okay, basically this is something that we bring to you each year. These are positions, and I quickly asked Alex how long we've had these positions. We've had a math part-time position for 4 years, and the science position has been there for 3 years. And personally, I feel like you have the decision paper in front of you, but I feel like this is an invaluable couple of positions that we have. These students, this allows students there to get one-on-one support, not only those students that are in the alternative setting, also those students that are in the MOVE program when they come into the facility and they need that extra one-on-one support. And we've been very fortunate to get some quality applicants, quality people working with these students. So we're asking to post those positions again for next year.
Is there any discussion? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Ms. Bard, and I'll second. All in favor of considering posting the 2 part-time teaching positions at the Renaissance Center, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Item C, consider approving school activity principals combining budget for the fiscal year 2020. Eric? And just stay there.
I brought all of them. I've got some water just in case I get parched. So, as I'm undoing this, I want to take advantage of this podium. One thing that I do want to talk about is the youth leadership program. I'm fortunate enough to actually get to be part of that. I'm on the committee for youth leadership. Watching the kids grow, and they're all outstanding kids to start out with, but watching them grow from what they think leadership is at the beginning of that class or that program to where they end up. We ask the same question, what do you think leadership is at the beginning? And then we ask them at the end. And the answers, they change. And you get to see the growth. And so I think we're, through that program, again, I'm going to tell you all thank you for allowing, me to be part of that, giving me time to do that. But it's a really excellent program, and our community steps up, allows them to come into their businesses, provides the funding. The Felix Martin Foundation, provides the 2. It started out with 1, but now there's 2, and I believe pretty much all of the groups got funded for their things. So, it's a fantastic thing. The other thing I wanted to mention was that you all know that I like negotiating things. Actually, this afternoon, Mr. Perkins gave me the Raptor contract, and we got $1,000 off of that, so it's about an 8.5% reduction. So,
Yay.
you know, and we're working on some other ones. So now I'm going to get back to what I'm supposed to do. When you're considering approving the school activity combining budgets, these are the budgets that the school activity funds, each school is required to turn those in by May 15th annually, in which I present them to you as the board. And so it's just something that you all look over and have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Is there any discussion? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Wells. Second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of consider approving the school activity principals combining budgets for the fiscal year 2020, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And item D, consider SFCC fiscal year 2019 KETS Officer of Assistance.
All right, this is our third CATS offer of assistance in the amount of $20,812. As you know, these are matched funds that we match from our general fund. They get used towards technology that we would otherwise be spending general fund dollars for. So it's free money to the district.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, I make a motion to consider the SFCC CATS offer of assistance for the fiscal year 2019.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And item E is consider annual KDE audit contract with Carr Riggs and Ingram.
Thank you again. As you recall, a couple of months ago, we signed a three-year extension with the agreement with them. However, annually, we have the KDE has a contract that they have that we sign that goes to the state. So that's what this is. For 2019 fiscal year audit, it's $28,800.
A motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. Bard.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of considering the annual KDE audit contract with Carr Riggs and Ingram, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Now we're down to the big one. Mr. Blitzinger, F is consider amending the 2018-19 salary schedule.
So that's for this year's salary schedule. We're doing the summer feeding program. So in order for Joe to start paying those folks, we have to put that on this year's salary schedule. So that's all that is. That's the addition of the rate, the summer feeding program worker at the rate of $12 an hour.
I'll make the motion to amend the salary schedule. Second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of consider amending the 2018-19 salary schedule, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Get to feed kids. Consider the 2019-20 tentative budget. Mr. Blitzinger.
Thank you. All right. This is the tentative budget. As you know, there's a three budget cycle. So we start the budget with the draft budget. Right now we're on the tentative budget, and then in September we'll pass the working budget. And I did the test files today, and everything passed, no errors, first try. So we're really pumped. That's a shout out to my finance department. So they do a great job. So again, we always give the budget considerations, review our revenues and our expenses. So the budget considerations, long-term sustainability, any revenue changes over time, we always watch, and pension reforming expense increases. That right now is we are focusing on CERS expenses. So once we find out what KTRS does, that will have an effect on it. Right now, what was previously passed, it was a 1% change, but that was on new hires, and really based on the number of new hires that we have certified, that was about a $32,000 expense. So it's almost negligible, but as we move forward, it's going to become more something that we need to watch. Any Any major projects needed is always something that we think about, and as always, maintenance issues. These buildings, we have some new ones, but we do have some older ones that we absolutely have to consider items that need to be fixed. So revenue line item notables, increased beginning balance about 16.8 million. I decreased the seat by 2.56. That's a little bit less than what was on the draft budget. In fact, Mr. Freeman and I had a discussion today about enrollment, and as it's plateauing out, that's a good thing. I mean, that's really good. Each year we've had to reduce between $400,000 and $600,000 out of seat dollars, and so we've made those adjustments. That's a big reason why we've kind of held cash, along with the other major projects that we've done. But those sort of things are going to give us that long-term sustainability that we are always looking forward to. Increase the on-behalf amounts proportionate to salary. That was done in the draft budget, so really that's remained unchanged in that respect. So all funds, there's the total revenues, including beginning balance, is about $72.2 million. General fund accounts for $62 million of that, and a lot of that general fund dollars, again, is that beginning balance that we have been able to maintain. Construction it's at zero, but actually what that is as we get those funds in, that'll actually be in the working budget because we just got those funds. We'll transfer those, so that'll increase as we pay for the projects. It'll decrease through the rest of the year. Food service at 3.1 million, debt service at 3.7 million. Debt service payments, we don't expect to have much come out of our general fund in terms of our regular debt service payments. As you know, we had the the Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract. A lot of those debt payments are going to be offset through expense reduction in the utilities area. So that's where we're going to gain that positivity. Building fund, 1.7 million capital outlay, which is where the state helps us out. And then fund 2 is about almost 4.7 million. So general fund revenues, our local revenue, which includes taxes and TVA, is about 15.2 million. State revenues, which is mostly SEEK, is about 18.5 million. On behalf amounts, 11.36 million. Those are the payments that the state makes to us for health care and those sort of things. Life insurance, it's a wash. It's a non-cash item. So basically, if we book those dollars, those dollars never come in, they never go out. Medicaid, we budgeted $200,000, which is where we kind of held true for the last 3 years. Miscellaneous revenue is about $87,500, and again, the beginning balance is about $16.8 million. So the expense line item notables, salary expense was increased by 1.5%. Really, that's basically the step increase estimate, as well as a kind of a little bit of a buffer just for when we have extra, when certified and overtime, when they have extra duties that get put on them. Again, finalized values are going to be calculated after we do pass the salary schedule and the first payrolls have run in August. So once the first school year payrolls have run, I'll annualize those out and we'll drill down and get a much tighter number for the working budget in terms of salaries and taxes and benefits. I allocated funds for security cameras to Central City Elementary and Greenville Elementary, as Mr. Perkins already mentioned. I believe it's about $52,000 in those line items. Budgeted $215,000 to vehicles and transportation. As you recall, I budgeted $200,000 prior. Bus prices went up a little bit, so this is where we're compensating for that. As I've just mentioned in the past, if we get anything where we can surplus a bus or anything in that transportation department, we are going to use those funds to offset the purchase price of these vehicles. And I reduced and reallocated any possible area in which minimal spending occurred. So, was close to $2 million that got shifted from that. Now, I will say that what I will tell everyone is that this gives the board much more control over the budget. So as we move forward, if there's anything that's significant that needs to happen with our budget and has to come out of contingency, that will be a board action item. So it's a good thing. We've been very responsible with the funds, but this again, it's another control. So we're happy with that. General fund expenditures, contingency is about $13.3 million. Salaries, almost $26 million. Tax and benefits, about $3.4. Professional technology service, $657,000. Purchase property and services, about $2 million. Other purchase services, $792,000. Supplies, about $3.5 million. Property, $651,000. That includes like the buses and those sorts of things, if there's any other items that we need to have, and then miscellaneous expenses there, about $300,000. All funds expenditures overall, salaries and personnel is about $30.3 million. Building fund, 1.7. Tax and benefits, about $4.4 million. Purchase property and services is still at that $2 million, because that's we don't purchase those items out of Fund 2 or any other spot, so that's general fund. It's the same amount as general fund. So properties, $903,000. Supplies, almost $5 million. And other purchase service, about $916,000. So committed funds, any major renovation items, we commit those funds. Retirement commitment is still at about $670,000, what's been committed. So those are things that will appear on the balance sheet. And that's pretty much the wrap on that. So I'm sorry. Are there any questions?
No.
No? I'd be glad to talk.
Is there any discussion on the tentative budget? Okay, if not, I need a motion to approve the 1920 tentative budget.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bowers.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of considering the 1920 tentative budget, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And the next item is to consider the 2019-20 salary schedule. Mr. Logan.
Eric, let me interject for a second, just for folks who may be watching. We were trying to have a work session on the salary schedule and the budget, and we just could not work it out. Darrell suggested midnight on a Sunday night, and that's about the only time it would work. But what folks need to know is that each board member came in two, and one, and we spent about an hour and a half going through it, and a much, so they are looking. We went, it's about as close to line as you can go with a lot of questions, so I want everybody to know there was a lot of time spent with talking and going over this, so it's not like this is a quick thing and approve. Folks need to know that.
There are about 250 line item changes in the budget from the draft budget to the tentative, so.
Well, I was getting ready to say that. I appreciate the time spent with us to answer questions and go through it, and it's very helpful.
It's a lot of information. So, thank you very much.
All right, I'm just going to go over some of the summary, basically the certified salary schedule. We did not make any change. The classified salary schedule, the miscellaneous page, again, we added that summer feeding program worker at the $12 an hour. We did add some assistant coach spots at $500 a piece. This is really mainly in consideration of there was only a head coach on a lot of sports, so we did add a minimal stipend for that. And for dance, archery, bass fishing, trap, softball, and baseball. So again, it's mainly focused on the safety of the kids. So in case someone had to, the head coach, something occurred where they had to go off somewhere else, where you're not leaving the kids alone by themselves. So.
And that's also with a certified staff member.
Yes.
And that's largely in response to Mr. Hancock, our athletic director, who came to us with a very good argument, used the safety angle on that just to make sure that and it's not an exorbitant cost, so we feel like it's the right thing to do. Give him some credit for he did a lot of homework and all, and did a nice job presenting it to us.
Absolutely. And also in response to one of the requests for volleyball, we added a middle school volleyball head and assistant coach there. We also did a minor sports event coordinator, and I'll let Mr. Davis kind of explain that a little bit.
I had spoken to you about that a little bit last year. We've added and added and added sports to the middle school. We talked about like an assistant athletic director at the middle school to take some of the events. As the folks who came in on that job, we've just kept adding nights out, nights, and nights, and they've done it without question. But I think the volleyball, the latest one, kind of pushed us over. And so we met with them. We met with Doug Lloyd and Brad and Jerry Hancock, and like what's the right thing to do here? What's a reasonable thing to do? And what they wanted was like an events coordinator, events manager, someone who can be there. They're still going to do this. Now, basketball and football, they'll still take it as that's what it's always been. But otherwise, they won't have to be out every single night. They'll have someone that we paid for that can go. They'll still do the scheduling. The same guys will, but this will basically, get the concessions going, taking up the tickets, being there in control. If something happens, there's always someone there. So I think it's the right thing to do. Probably should have done it last year, but certainly with adding yet another one at a reasonable cost, I think $1,500, and we'll see what kind of interest we get. But that's where that came from.
Also on the classified monthly pay scale, we eliminated the resource officer as that's been taken over by the sheriff's department. Also the vocal community arts coordinator, as no one is filling that position. The electronic maintenance manager, we did a market adjustment for that position. Actually, it should have been done about 3 years ago, and it just did not get done. So that was something that needed to be done. We also corrected the program consultant pay scale. It went up and then went back down for some reason, so I took where it went back down and then adjusted it back. So it was just a clerical error. It was a fix. Also, a classified hourly pay scale, we moved receptionist to category 3. Again, no one's filling this position at this time. The interpreter sign language page, we did no change. Substitute teacher, we did no change. In the longevity salary schedule, we removed the following positions: personnel director, assistant superintendent, finance officers, and others are going to be removed as the multiplier offsets that longevity. So with that, we built a multiplier with the intent to remove stipends. So basically, we eliminated almost 16 stipends by creating this multiplier. No one receives an increase in salary. It follows along with your years of administrative experience, and that's where any increases would occur. So if there's anything.
So the trick there is that's somewhere that a lot of superintendents and I think finance officers in other districts are saying that's where you want to be. It's a little more transparent. There's not all these stipends out there, but to transfer over, it's like principals remember the test when we changed testing systems. They used to call it concordance to make it work. There's a lot of math and a lot of work to make sure that nobody unintentionally goes backwards and nobody unintentionally goes forwards. And once it gets to that point where everybody's where they need to be, which may take 2 or 3 years, because it may be now where someone would go backwards with that. Well, you can't have that, so they're going to have to keep that stipend on until it catches up, and nobody needs to unintentionally go forward. So that took a lot of work, and it's been double checked and triple checked, and will continue to be. So you want to have it set up again where once we're going to a better place. But in the meantime, it's going to take some math and all just to make sure, I'm making less, or certainly I'm making more, and that shouldn't happen either. And 2 to 3 years, I'm thinking it'll all catch up. Because kind of starting on the low end, so the stipend will they may be going backwards, and they still need that stipend on there to make it work. And then as it catches up, then you take the stipend off, and yet another stipend that's not on there. So and again, then you've got folks on this multiplier. If there is a cut, hopefully hopefully there never is again. But you're getting hit the total amount. If there is a raise, and quite honestly, that's never been the case for folks, who make a stipend, then you're actually getting the full raise. So I think it's the best thing. I'm confident it is. It's tricky getting there. And I will say at this time, longevity is something that's been kind of up in the air, talked about. This will bring longevity back in a sense that it'll basically unfreeze it where they should be now, these folks that have waited rather patiently. Last year wasn't the time. We need to get everybody back to where they were. And I think now is the time, once that happens, then everybody is back where they should be after all these years. So I think that's the right thing to do. I just want to be totally open and honest and transparent as we talk to you guys about. So I'm excited about going there. I've kind of drug my feet on this because the changeover is tricky. I'm a little slow to change sometimes, but I do think with a lot of work and all already done on this, that we're going to a better place that folks can see more clearly. I think it's another transparent thing. This is it. This is what you're making. In about 3 years or so, I think it'll be even clearer once we can kind of get everybody exactly where they need to be.
Are there any questions?
Well, we appreciate all the time that you all put into that and your staff. I mean, it has been a tremendous undertaking, I know. So, and to be able to sit here and have this discussion about the new way of doing things. I know since I've been on the board, we've kind of tossed around the idea about doing a multiplier and not really knowing, when and how we need to approach that. So I agree. I think the time is good now. We are in a much, much better place, thank goodness, and we'll just keep moving forward. With that being said, I need a motion to consider the 1920 salary schedule.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Bard.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of approving the salary schedule for the 1920 school year, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And we're down to the board consent agenda items, which are the leave of absence, fundraisers, field trips, facilities use, and personnel actions. We've all had a chance to review those, and I just need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Wells, and I'll second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of approving the board consent agenda items, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Any motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Wells, and I'll say by Ms. Bard. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye.